Hey everyone, just thought I would make a quick video showing you how I can, or how you can make fake long exposures in Photoshop using just your camera. You don't need any filters, you don't really need a tripod, but you will get better results if you use one. So first thing you need to do is take a batch of photos using burst mode on your camera. Most cameras have this mode, so just give it a try, go through your settings, see if you can find it. So right here I have taken 18 photos, and as you can see when I flip through them, you'll see here that they're all on the same focal point. The only thing it's moving is the sea. One and the first things I like to do is I like to group the batch together so I know which is the batch. So right here you can see I've just highlighted them and made them red. Just gone in, highlight them all like this, right click, and then color them red, just so I know that that is the batch that I'm working on. The next thing I need to do is I want to make sure that any major edits I do, I can do before I go into combining them together. So I'll edit one, go and develop, do my edits, and then I'll just copy that over, that settings all over to the rest of the photos. Go and copy, you'll get this window up, copy settings, and then I'll paste it on, go back and develop, paste settings, and that is now pasted that settings, so they all again look the same. The only thing it's moving or changing is the position of the sea. One of the other things I like to do, and again this is just optional, is I like to group these together. Just gets rid of the unnecessary batch of photos and makes it one thumbnail. To do so, again, I highlight them all, then I come in and I right click on it, go to stacking and group into stack. You'll see here they've all now combined down into this one thumbnail, but it shows you how many photos is in there. By clicking on the number, it will open up and it will show you each photo in that group. So the next thing we do is we need to open these in Photoshop. So to do that, we'll right click on them, we'll come up to edit in, and you'll see here edit in Adobe Photoshop. We don't want to use this mode. What we want to use is open as layers in Photoshop. If we were to use the top one, it would open each layer as a new tab in Photoshop, which you can then move it as into a layer, but it just adds a little bit more work. So what we want to do is just click on open as layers in Photoshop. This will take a few minutes depending on your system and how many photos you are importing into Photoshop. I'm just going to pause it here until all the photos have been imported. So now that the photos have imported, you'll see here in my layers tab that all 18 images have came through as layers. So what we need to do next is align each layer so they're perfectly stacked on top of each other, and any strange ray items like this post here match up in that they're aligned. Now Photoshop actually has a really good setting for doing this. I'm not going to say it's 100% perfect, depending on how you've taken the photo, if you use a tripod or not, or if you've really got wobbly hands. It might not be able to do it perfectly with every layer, but it will do a pretty good job. The times that I've done it, it's done a really good job. So what we're going to do is we're going to align each image, each layer, so they're perfectly aligned. So to do that, I'm going to select the top one. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my layers, and on the very last one, holding the shift key, I'm just going to select it. You'll see there that they're highlighted. From there on, I'm going to come up to edit, and I'm going to come to auto align layers. You'll get this window that appears. Leaving it on auto, I'm just going to click on OK. Don't have to worry about anything else, just leave it on auto, click on OK. You'll see there that it's now aligning the layers, and again, depending on your machine, this will take a few minutes. Depending on how many layers you have, it'll take a few minutes. As you can see, each layer is now aligned. Now you'll probably notice here at the edges you've got this translucent checker boxes. Now this is just showing that the image has been squashed or moved a little bit to line up. And if I scroll up here and come up to the first image and click on this little eye, I can hide that layer and I can go through each one, and you can see there's nothing really moving apart from the sea. It's all perfectly in a line. This is where you would see, if you had a stationary item like this post, you would see if there's any movement, because if you go through them, you'll see if it moves that a little bit. But they're okay. So what I need to do next is I need to convert these images into a smart object. A smart object is it's a mode that lets you go back and make changes to the image. So if you want to make a big change, if you apply a filter to them, you can go back and edit that filter. But what we need to do is we need to apply a smart, turn each one of these layers into a smart object. So having them all highlighted, so if I click on the top one again, you'll notice the rest of them unhighlighted. If I go back down to the bottom, holding shift and click again, I've highlighted them all again. And I can come up to filter and then convert to smart filters. The other way you can do it is by right clicking on any of one of the highlighted items and come up to convert to smart object. It does exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to click there because it's already open. And again, this will take a long time to do depending on your system. So I'm just going to pause it until it does that. So converting it to a smart object is now complete. As you come down to here to layers, you'll notice that all your layers have disappeared and it's all here now as one layer. The reason I can tell it's a smart object is that around this little corner here, you'll notice there's this icon. That icon there's showing me that it's a smart object. So now it's a smart object. This is where I come in, combined all these photos. I'm going to stack these photos and hopefully even out the water so it looks like it's been long exposed. So to do so, I come up to layers, and then I come down to smart objects. In smart objects, I come across and I come down to stack mode. In stack mode, we're going to select mean. What mean does, it takes the image and it averages it out. It takes all the images that we've got in that layer, in that smart object, and it averages it out. So by clicking on mean, in a few seconds, it should give me the result that we're looking for. So there it is, it's now finished its process, and as you can see, it's giving me a nice smoothed out water, bit like the long exposures. All the detail that I have here in the posts are all nice and sharp. The checkered bars are on the side have all turned black, and you'll notice down here in the corners there's a little bit of fringing in that. Unfortunately, there's no easy way of getting rid of these unless you want to sit and try and paint it in. What I always like to do is I just take the crop tool in Photoshop and I just crop them up a little bit and crop that out. As you can see, I'm trying to get it so it's nice and neat. So just crop it down and crop my shot in a little bit. Once I'm happy with that, I'll just click on that, and as you go, I've now cropped that out. What I can then do is I can hit save and it'll save it back into Lightroom for me. So now I'm back into Lightroom. You can see here I've got a new file that's still red, but it's not in the group. This one here is the new one that I've saved that I've done a long exposure on, and it's based on this photos here, and you can see the difference that it's made. You can also then go in and do any small adjustments to it, but I would recommend any big lighting adjustments, any big adjustments you want to do, I would do them before you do this. Hopefully this will give you something to do, something to try, and you will get some awesome shots out of it.